payat pero may diabetes. Maraming mga pasyente na nagsisimula na mataba o di kaya as little overweight. And then later on, they found out na meron na nga silang diabetes. However, marami rin po yung mga payat. They are physically fit, they are physically active, they are exercising every day. And then comes 30s, una normal pa, and then 35, naging pre-diabetic, and then later on, by the time they reach 40, they saw na nagkaroon na nga sila ng problems when it comes to their blood sugar control. They are now diagnosed with diabetes, middle age, and then later on, as they go through life, natatanggap na lang na kailangan na silang mag-maintain ng gamot. They already accepted that having diabetes is just like a normal thing, especially among us Filipinos. Kaya marami sa mga Pinoy kahit hindi ganon kataba, pero may problems with diabetes. Meron ding iba, to which we will talk about in another video, na hindi nagkakaroon ng diabetes, hindi rin tumataba, but the effect of too much sugar in their body, too much insulin in their body, and too much problem and pressure in their pancreas ay nag-lead ito ng many other tumor formation. I am speaking from my personal experience also when it comes to my patients and also my family members. In our family, merong very strong family history of diabetes. However, hindi lahat nagkakaroon ng diabetes. Among my aunts, closest aunts, and my father mismo and yung mga uncles ko, meron ng 4 sa kanila na namatay all before 60 years old because of diabetes complications. Merong sa lungs, sa liver, heart attack, and kidneys. And then the other, meron din akong closest na 3 na mga aunties, cousins ng dad ko na side, and they all died of pancreatic cancer. These females, walang diabetes, never diagnosed with diabetes. Also, hindi rin mataba. They are payat, but they are all consuming very much high in sugar and foods that are elevating their blood sugar. Hindi lang basta mga matatamis, but kahit yung mga kakanin, kahit yung mga kanin specifically, the other root crops, and too much fruits also can induce that, plus yung mga snacks na biskwit, and then yung mga pandesal, yung mga tinapay, yung mga banana Q, and soft drinks halos every after meal. So we are not saying na masama yung fruits, but you have to consider your overall glucose impact because lahat ng yon makaka-contribute. If your only glucose consumption in a day is coming from fruits and vegetables, maybe that's okay. But if you are consuming them, kasama yung kanin, kasama yung tinapay, yung mga biskwit, yung mga crackers, and then yung mga chicheria, then that could be too much already. So that's why for those who have diabetes and who are thin, you can look closely into your food intake. Number 1, of course, kailangan iwasan yung mga matatamis. Sila yung pinaka-basic. So, soft drinks, mga desserts, ice cream, cakes, lahat ng mga matatamis, candies. Sometimes, kahit yung mga maliliit na candy lang, pero kung nakakaubos ka ng 5-10 candy in a day, that can still be too much already. So, with your coffee, 3-in-1 is very high in sugar. Para sa mga raming Filipinos, even my closest friends, I used to know a lot na favorite nila, para sa kanila perfect yung 3-in-1 coffee. Only to realize later on when they started doing low carb, when they started drinking coffee black without sugar and cream. Congratulations, shout out to my friends. Alam nyo kung sino kayo. Na ngayon, they can no longer imagine taking in 3-in-1 coffee again. That's one of the most favorite questions sa groups namin in Life Without Rice and low carb feasting and fasting community, kung okay ba yung 3-in-1 coffee. Well, it's up to you, but definitely kung iinom ka ng 3-in-1 coffee, it is not part of low carb because just 1 pack of 3-in-1 coffee, ito ay katumbas na ng 3 to 4 teaspoons of white sugar. So, kung okay lang sa'yo, take in yung 3 to 4 teaspoons of white sugar, then it's up to you. But definitely, it is not under the low carb way of living. And so, after you avoid those number 1 food groups na kailangan i-avoid for those with diabetes, regardless actually kung mataba o payat. Sa mga matataba actually, na hindi nagkakaroon ng diabetes, hindi nagkakaroon ng problem with their blood sugar, it's because their body can still accommodate ng effect ng kanilang blood sugar. So, yung taas na blood sugar napupunta sa fat cells and nagiging taba. But there are people, may mga tao talaga na hindi talaga tabain. They are non-fat formers. So, ano nang ginagawa ng katawan sa excess glucose na yon, since hindi ito nako-convert sa taba? Then they are just there. It's either nasa loob lang ng bloodstream, causing high blood glucose, damaging your kidneys, damaging your eyesight, damaging your brain, or it can also be used for tumorigenesis, sa pagbuo ng mga tumors and possible mga bukol-bukol, mga cancers. For others, it can be as mild as allergies, merong mga inflammations, pananakit ng katawan, but all of those can still be underlying manifestations of inflammation, which is number one when it comes to food intake, is too much sugar intake. So, if you are already successful when it comes to avoiding that first food group, then congratulations. But however, if you've never had desserts for the last 5 years and yet nakita nyo na meron pa rin diabetes or pre-diabetic pa rin, na-advise na ng doktor na kailangan nang mag-maintain ng gamot, binigyan na ng metformin, binigyan na ng glyburide, glimepiride, and what else, maraming gamot na anti-hyperglycemic medications na nakakapagpababa ng blood sugar, then you might consider looking into your second food group. The second food group, hindi sila matamis. Hindi sila matamis, they are actually matatabang, they are very bland in taste, na aakalain natin healthy sila, only to find out that those foods pala, kapag kinain natin, are also easily, directly converted into blood sugar. These are starch. So ano yung mga halimbawa ng starchy foods? Number one sa mga Pinoy, rice. So that's why meron tayong group na Life Without Rice, because alam na natin for the longest time na yung pagkain ng matamis, kahit pa gusto natin, because it is addicting, yun yung effect ng tamis sa ating utak, but still we continue to eat them because yun nga, nakaka-addict siya. Pero alam natin hindi siya nakakabuti para sa atin. But rice, but the starch, the root crops, the tinapay, the wheat bread, pandesal, oatmeal, cereals, breakfast cereals, granolas, at marami pang iba, those are considered as starch na easily converted into blood sugar. Yes, they are a little better than the sweets, no? But if you really want to improve your blood sugar, you might want to consider cutting them down or not having them at all. So why am I saying this? Because you can cut them down if your body can accommodate it, and you can also choose not to have any of this, kahit mais, kahit pa brown rice, kahit pa red rice, quinoa, couscous, those are still high in starch, and net carbohydrates is still very high. So bakit okay lang for you to consider not having them? Because they're actually not essential. Ibig sabihin, kung ano yung pinakamakukuha natin dyan, which is glucose primarily, it is something na kayang gawin ng ating katawan. Yung liver natin, yung atay natin, and even to some degree, our kidneys is capable of manufacturing, kaya niyang gumawa ng kanyang sariling glucose kapag kailangan niya ito. That is through gluconeogenesis. However, that doesn't get activated easily. Kailangan muna masana yung katawan nyo na merong mga panahon that you are not having too much of those glucose. That is why we promote low-carb way of eating, wherein yung kinakain natin is mababa sa carbohydrates, so that your body, yung katawan nyo, hindi mag-depend dito. It can now start to appreciate the other food na nasa katawan na natin, which is the fats, na pwedeng mag-convert into energy. Because yung glucose, hindi lang naman siya yung source of energy natin Glucose can be converted into ATP. Yan yung final product of energy na money sa ating katawan. However, ATP hindi kailangang manggaling sa glucose lamang. Pwede rin itong manggaling sa ketones or fatty acids, and that can come from fat. So that's why kailangan maging fat adapted muna tayo so that we can activate that gluconeogenesis. It's inherent in our system. In fact, yung katawan natin is set to be on fat burning mode only if there is no insulin. So, instead of just thinking kung paano pababain yung blood sugar mo sa katawan, you have to consider first kung paano pababain yung insulin sa katawan. Because the end effect of the damages brought about by elevated blood sugar, yung impact, yung nakakasira sa katawan natin na nanggaling sa pagtaas ng blood sugar, may not actually come from blood sugar alone. But the moment kasi na tumataas yung inyong blood sugar, tumataas din yung insulin. And insulin is an anabolic hormone. It is a building up hormone. And supposedly, hindi natin siya parating na-activate. By nature, sanay yung katawan natin na hindi parating activated yung insulin. If we always activate that, dyan na lumalabas yung problema. That's why insulin resistance is a major problem ngayon. Mas major problem pa yan actually before pa ng pandemic, and even now na halos nawawala na yung pandemic. But the problem with insulin resistance leading to metabolic syndrome, yung metabolic syndrome, nagkakaroon ng insulin resistance, merong dyslipidemia, merong problems with cholesterol, problems with blood sugar, and lahat sila meron ding greater risk of developing tumors and cancers. Sa mga babae, it can be cancer in the breast, cancer in the reproductive system, sa uterus, sa ovaries, and any other parts of the human body. And for males, pwede rin paglaki ng prostate, prostatomegaly, or hyperplasia, or even prostate cancer, and lungs, and many others. Of course, kung sasamahan nyo ito ng lifestyle which is also damaging, like smoking, your risk for developing lung cancer, throat cancer, mouth cancer is also higher. If sinasamahan nyo ito ng heavy drinking, alcohol drinking, your risk of developing liver cancer is also high. So that's why we have to look into our starch intake. In addition to starch, you can also look into the other food groups na natural pero matamis din. And these are fruits. So fruits are mostly composed of fructose and glucose. So if you take fruits, take it in portions, 1 serving size. And usually yung serving size mas maliit sa nakasanayan nating serving. So for example, yung isang mangga, yung 1 serving size niyan is yung kalahating cheek lang. Sa apple, just 1/2. For banana, just 1/2. But us Filipinos, especially na meron tayong sarili nating tanim, sarili nating puno, we usually take them in large quantities. Minsan, buong maghapon, kinakain lang natin ang kinakain without mindfully thinking kung ano na pala, kung gaano na pala karaming blood glucose na papunta natin sa loob ng ating katawan. And the fructose also is equally damaging if we are not sustaining it when it comes to spending, exercise, or limiting your other food intake, and also burning them through fasting. So the last food groups, we have the seed oils. So the seed oils, kailangan baguhin talaga natin yung source natin of oil. If you are still using margarine, please po, pwede nyo nang itapon yan. You don't want to put that in your body. That is first discovered as part ng para sa industrial use. This is a chemical-based na solid oil na hindi siya naturally occurring in nature. Ginawa lang siya kasi ito ay mas mura. But this ones, when incorporated sa ating cells, our cells will be prone to damage, will be prone to oxidative stress, will be prone to free radical formation. At yun yung isa sa mga pinaka-basis why there is inflammation in our body. If you want like something like margarine, choose butter. I know mas mahal yung butter, pero mas mahal naman magkasakit. And if ever hindi talaga afford, so wala na lang butter. No butter, no problem. You can just use coconut oil, which is very much available sa atin sa Pilipinas, or for fresh salads and for other uses, you can use extra virgin olive oil. So those are just optional. Kung walang ganon, okay lang din. You are better off getting oil from natural sources like sa karne, sa baboy, o sa mga isda na fatty fish like blue marlin, although paminsan-minsan lang because those are also having mercury. But that is also the beauty why we do low carb. When we eat, we choose the ones that are least damaging kahit hindi pa organic meat. We can accommodate that. Don't worry. Because when we do low carb, we also don't do low carb all day, every day, 3, 4, 5 times of meal per day. No. When we do low carb, we just eat once, twice, maximum na siguro sa iba na kailangan mag-bulk up. They can eat 3 meals a day. But when they do so, they also do intermittent fasting together with it. And that is why a lot of low carbers are very successful when it comes to lowering down their inflammation and actually lowering your blood sugar to normal level is very, very easy. That's one of the easiest thing to manage when it comes to your health. Blood pressure, lowering of inflammation, marami ang kailangan i-tweak, especially when there's medication involved. Kailangan you consult it with your doctor, you do your diary, your daily monitoring para mag-guide kayo ng doktor ninyo when is it possible to maybe lower down your dose, or maybe galing sa 3 gamot, baka pwede nang gawing 2 o 1, and hopefully it's not impossible. Marami na po tayong mga friends and families and supporters and enrollees in our masterclass who were very successful. Hindi po kami yung nagtanggal ng kanilang gamot, but they just follow the protocol and they did their own recording, their own daily monitoring, and then after a month or 2, pumunta sila ulit sa kanilang doktor, and their doctor, even if they are not low carb practicing doctors, but nakita nila yung progress, yung improvement sa kanila, and they are even the ones who took the medications or lower down the dose. So, yun yung beauty ng low carb nutrition, the proper nutrition, and also fasting. Problem lang, sometimes it's about the mindset. So that's why, wag lang bastang sumunod. Try to learn first, try to know first about this and what kind of problem you want to have. Because meron kaming kilala, hindi na siya nag-low carb, pero ngayon tinanggap na niya na lifetime na siyang iinom ng gamot. So maybe that's also her choice at wala na tayong magagawa dyan. She is now something like, parang okay na siya. Because when she started low carb, parang problematic siya because she was so attached to carbs. It is actually sugar addiction, carb addiction that's talking. And those kinds, we actually recommend getting counseling from professional help to battle with sugar addiction. Sugar addiction, yes, it's been with us, but we are somewhat successful in controlling it. Going 4 years now, hindi naman nagre-relapse, and we are happy na little sacrifice on saying no in maybe social gatherings or maybe when traveling, when there's a lot of good foods na usually you are excited to eat, but you are now limiting, and it's okay. It's just about the mindset that you know you are now prioritizing your health, and that's the problem that I wanna have. I'd rather have a moment na meron lang kakaunting struggle, but after that one, I can easily surpass than have the struggle of getting back to the high carb wheel na nagbabalik na naman yung aking allergic rhinitis, yung bloating, and then also nagkakaroon ng diabetes, pre-diabetes, and many, many more. So, I hope you choose the right kind of problem, the ones that you can live with and still you can enjoy life and be happy about, and be living on your best self with longer life, vitality, youth, and you can savor more and do more in this way of life. So maraming salamat everyone. I'll see you again in our next video. Remember to always stay low carb so that we all stay safe. Have a good day. Bye!